Okay, so I thought I would try this out every month to do a anticipated releases. This is a little late, but I kind of just decided this on a whim. Originally, I thought I would do a Q3 releases, so that would be July, August, September. But when I was going through my release calendar, I realized I do have quite a bit and I could do a monthly releases instead. I do track a lot of books. I may not always get to them and read them. Definitely not going to buy all of them. There are some that I will buy. But essentially these are just what I'm interested in. Most of them I put library holds on, or I'll wait and see what reviews look like, or from other booktubers or other people in my book club or anything. You know, people whose opinions I trust, and move on from there. Or to see if any of them start getting any real buzz and see if I'm interested in them. So we'll just hop right into it. We'll start with July 2nd, which was last week. Today is July 9th. So I have my computer here, so we're just gonna hop on over. On July 2nd, released was The Failures by Benjamin Lyer. This is a fantasy debut, and I'm not going to read a whole synopsis. I'll try to do just like the basic couple line tagline or super quick synopsis. So this is a genre-breaking blend of apocalyptic sci-fi and epic fantasy about a scattered group of unlikely heroes traveling across their broken mechanical planet to stave off eternal darkness. A tightly coiled puzzle of a thrill ride, The Failures launches the Wanderlands trilogy. So, mix of apocalyptic sci-fi and epic fantasy. I'm very interested. This is beginning a little bit of buzz in fantasy book circles. So, I do have a hold on this at my library, so I'm kind of excited to try that out. Moving on to July 9th, which is today, is a very big day. First that I have on my list is Bury Your Gaze by Tingle. I read this as an ARC. I loved it. I had a lot of fun with it. I loved his book last year. This is a great follow-up to Camp Damascus. It is essentially a story about a scriptwriter who is kind of half in the closet, and he is writing for this Hollywood show where he wants his two main leads, female leads, to declare their love for each other, and he is told by the studio to kill them both. Bury your gaze, the queer culture trope that is very prevalent, and a sort of weird odyssey evolves from there. Lots of horror, lots of gore, lots of interesting stuff. Chuck has a lot of interesting things to say about queer culture. He did it from a religious trauma lens in Camp Damascus, and here he's doing it from a queer pop culture lens. So really enjoyed it. Buying the hardcover this weekend for just to own, and for my husband to read. So that was Bury Your Gaze. Next is The Dallergut Dream Department Store by Miye. So this is translated from Korean, and it's comped as Before the Coffee Gets Cold meets Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore. I was not a fan of Before the Coffee Gets Cold, but I understand that it is getting comped that because of the more low-key, cozy vibes, maybe slice of life vibes. And Mr. Penumbra's 24-hour bookstore, probably because it's a store and it's about the people in the store. I think I liked Mr. Penumbra when I read it, if I recall that correctly. I don't remember the book much at all, but let's see. In a mysterious town that lies hidden in our collective subconscious, there's a quaint little store where all kinds of dreams are sold. Day and night, visitors, both human and animal, from all over the world shuffle in sleepily in their pajamas, lining up to purchase their latest adventure. So we'll leave it at that. That sounds cute, sounds cozy. I have a hold on in my library. I was interested in buying this because I do kind of try my best to dig into a lot of translated works, but this one I'm gonna keep it as a library hold because I'm not too sure, especially with the comp to Before the Coffee Gets Cold. So library it is. Next, we're going back to fantasy. The Price of Redemption by Shawn Carpenter. This is a debut female-led swashbuckling fantasy following powerful sorceress and sea captain Marquise Enid de Tancarville as she is forced on the run, where she meets a vast cast of characters perfect for fans of Patrick O'Brien's beloved Master and Commander series. Yes, this is giving Master and Commander. It's reminding me of The Adventures of Amina al-Sarafi from last year by Shawn and Chakraborty. I'm in. It sounds fun. got my library hold. I'm like third in line for it. So I'm excited. I'm sort of like moving into like a pirate, like wanting more pirate stuff, especially after Amina Al-Sarafi last year. So I'm excited for this one. I am. Moving on to The Sky on Fire by Jenn Lyons. Jenn Lyons wrote the Chorus of Dragons series. I enjoyed the first. I gave it 3 stars. She's got a real brain on her. I felt very brain wrinkled by her in that first one. The second one I DNF'd just for reasons I'm not going to go into. But I am still interested in her ideas. And people love Chorus of Dragons so much. I am going to continue in the series. I'm probably going to just read the end of book 2 because I own book 3, so might as well read it. But I am interested in this one, More Dragons. So this one is, tagline is, from the acclaimed author of the Chorus of Dragons series, this propulsive new standalone fantasy. Ooh, is it standalone? Ooh. Standalone fantasy is Dragon Riders of Pern for a modern audience. I was not a Pern girly when I was younger. I didn't really read a lot of the classic like girl fantasy when I was younger. So that is an area in my fantasy reading where I'm woefully lacking, especially in my classic fantasy reading. So this says, Anarod lives only for survival, preferring to thrive in the jungles of the deep with the Titan Drake she keeps by her side. When an adventuring party saves her from capture by the local warlord, Sikarion, she is eager to return to her solitary life, but this is no ordinary rescue. Anarod's past has caught up with her, and these cunning misfits intend to spirit her away to the Cloud Cities, where they need her help to steal from a dragon's horde. Sounds exciting. So, yeah. Next, the one I'm probably most excited for, and I will be buying, because it has very pretty sprayed edges. I'm going to put that cover here. It's so pretty. This is The Spellshop by Sarah Beth Durst. I read the first book in her series, The Queen's something. The first book was The Queen of... Queen of Blood, Queen of Sorrow. I think the first book was Queen of Blood. And I read that one, really enjoyed it. I do own the, I was looking this way because I have the paperbacks up here. I do own the whole trilogy in mass market paperback, so that is one of my goals to read this year, is to finish up that series. So The Spellshop looks like it's another cozy fantasy. The cover is so pretty. It says her romantasy debut, a lush cottagecore tale full of stolen spellbooks, unexpected friendships, sweet jams, and even sweeter love. Now, romantasy doesn't tend to do things for me, but I liked Sarah Beth Durst's writing, and I like the idea of this like cottagecore cozy fantasy situation. So this says, Keela has always had trouble dealing with people. Thankfully, as a librarian at the Great Library of Elysium, she and her assistant Kaz, a magically sentient spider plant, have spent the last decade sequestered among the Empire's most precious spellbooks, preserving their magic for the city's elite. When a revolution begins and the library goes up in flames, she and Cass flee with all their spellbooks they can carry and head to a remote island Keela never thought she'd see again, her childhood home. I think there she creates a spell shop and things move on from there. So I'm super excited for this one. Cannot wait to buy it. And yeah, I'm ready for something cozy. And I even though I've only read one of her books, I kind of trust Sarah Beth Durst to take me on something that is billed as romantasy. So moving on to July 16th, there are 2 releases I'm interested in. The first is I Was a Teenage Slasher by Stephen Graham Jones. I read My Heart is a Chainsaw earlier this year and loved it. I am down for this. I love how absolutely ugly and cheesy this cover is. It's so chaotic. I actually ordered this for my very first Aardvark box book. As an alternative to Book of the Month. Lately, Book of the Month has been just completely missing for me. They don't really do a lot of SFF, and that's where my reading interests lie. And it seems like Aardvark is moving more in that direction. So I was excited to grab it through Aardvark. And this is another slasher from Stephen Graham Jones. So it says, 1989, La Mesa, Texas. A small West Texas town driven by oil and cotton, and a place where everyone knows everyone else's business. So it goes for Tolly Driver, a good kid with more potential than application, 17, and about to be cursed to kill for revenge. We're going to keep it there. Looks like Stephen Graham Jones is kind of doing a bit of exploration of his own childhood in Texas, so I'm very excited to see where that goes. Alrighty, next we have The West Passage by Jared Pechaček. I believe that's how it's pronounced. This looks like it is a fantasy based on kind of Eastern European mythology-ish. So here's the tagline: a palace the size of a city ruled by giant ladies of unknowable eldritch origin. A land left to slow decay, drowning in the debris of generations. All this and more waits you within the West Passage, a delightfully mysterious and intriguingly weird medieval fantasy unlike anything you've read before. So yeah, very vague, but I'm interested. Have it on hold in my library already, so I am super interested in this one. Moving on to July 23rd, 2 more books that I'm interested in. The first is In the Shadow of the Fall by Tobi Ogundiran. Tobi Ogundiran also wrote... I don't know what he also wrote. I didn't research this enough, but I recognize his name. Let's see. In the Shadow of the Fall is a novella. It says, a cosmic war reignites and the fate of the Orisha lie in the hands of an untried acolyte. In this first entry of a new epic fantasy novella duology by Tobi Ogundiran for fans of N.K. Jemisin and Suyi Davies Okungboa. So let's see. Ashake is an acolyte in the Temple of Ifa, yearning for the day she's made a priest and sent out into the world to serve the Orisha. But of all the acolytes, she is the only one the Orisha refused to speak to. For years, she has watched from the sidelines as peer after peer passes by her and ascends to full priesthood. Desperate, she attempts to summon and trap an Orisha, any Orisha. Instead, she experiences a vision so terrible it draws the attention of a powerful enemy sect and thrusts Ashake into the center of a centuries-old war that will shatter the very foundations of her world. Very vague, but I'm interested. Love this cover. Beautiful. This, I don't know who is here on the left with the white hair, but it's giving me very Storm vibes, and I love Storm. Western African inspired fantasy, so excited for this one. All right, then also on July 23rd we have The Dissonance by Shawn Hamill. This is okay, here we go. You can never go home again, the saying goes, but Hal, Athena, and Aaron have to. In high school, the 3 were students of the eccentric Professor Marsh, trained in a secret system of magic known as the Dissonance, which is built around harnessing negative emotions, alienation, anger, pain. Then, 20 years ago, something happened that shattered their coven, scattering them across the country, stuck in mundane lives alone. Now, it looks like something happens and it brings them all back together. And I'm going to stop there because I am interested. I am in. This one, though, I do have a library hold, but I'm going to wait for more reviews and see what people say. The rating so far is pretty decent on Goodreads, so I'm interested in it, but it does sound like it is leaning towards dark academia, which doesn't always work for me. So I do have a library hold, but I'm also going to rely on a lot of reviews to see what happens with people's opinions on this one. Last day for book releases in July is July 30th, and I have one on this day. This is Navigational Entanglements by Aliette de Bodard. It looks like this is a standalone novel, sci-fi novel, and she kind of does this thing where she mixes Vietnamese culture but makes it sci-fi. I have not been the biggest fan of her novellas in her world where she does so, but I still keep trying her because I love the idea of it. I am waiting for the one that hits me that I really want to love, and I feel like this could be it. So let's go. Using the power of shadows generated from their own body's vitality, navigators guide spaceships safely across the realm of unreality, populated by unfathomable, dangerous creatures called Tanglers. In return for their service, the navigator clans get wealth and power, but they get the blame too. So when a Tangler escapes the Hollows and goes missing, the Empire calls on the jockeying clans to take responsibility and deal with the problem. So then we have our main character and another main character who are forced to work together to figure out this problem. We're gonna stop there. So, space opera-ish kind of thing going on. Look at this cover. There is, it looks like a rooster and a snake because one character is from a rooster clan and the other is from a snake clan. Sci-fi-ish. It sounds good. It sounds right up my alley. I am considering buying it, so I think The weekend after it comes out, I will go to the bookstore and read the first chapter and see what I think about it. So, yeah, that's all of it. That's all for July. I say that's all, but that's a lot of anticipated releases. There are 3 books. 2 I'm definitely going to buy. So that's Bury Your Gaze and the Sarah Beth Durst, The Spellshop. Maybe on Navigational Entanglements. So not too bad. But yeah, lots of interesting stuff. Let me know if any of these are something you are also interested in reading. And I will come back with an August one at the start of August. So thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time. Bye.